Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Fuller, and as chair of the board, I welcome you to this December 7th, 2022 regular meeting of the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners. Our communications manager, Emily Kaiser, rewind. Our office coordinator, Aaron Smith, will now describe how our meetings operate, how to access the agenda packet, and how people may participate remotely. Aaron?
Thanks, Chair Fuller. There are multiple ways to make public comment during today's meeting, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. If you are here in person and would like to make public comment, please fill out the sign-in sheet now. If you're joining us virtually, we will ask you to virtually raise your hand at the appropriate time in the agenda. If you're joining us virtually, the chat feature on the Zoom meeting is available only as technical support for users on their computer or smartphone. If you're experiencing technical issues with audio or video during the meeting, submit a comment in the chat feature and I will help you troubleshoot. If you are a staff member experiencing issues, please contact the IT help desk for assistance. The audio and video of this meeting is being recorded, and a link to the video recording will be posted to wcroads.org in the coming days. There are printed copies of today's meeting agenda on the table here, and it is also posted on our website. There is a link available in the chat if you're joining us virtually. And now I'll turn over to Chair Barb Fuller.
Thank you, Aaron. At this time, I now call the meeting to order and ask Aaron to call the roll.
Chair Barb Fuller.
Present.
Vice Chair Rod Green has an excused absence today. Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Present.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Present.
And the following directors are in attendance. Managing Director Cheryl Siddle, Director of Engineering and County Highway Engineer Matt Washtenaw, Director of Operations Adam Lape, and Director of Finance and IT Dan Ackerman.
Thank you. At this time, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In acknowledgement of today, which is December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, I ask that we take a moment of silence after I read these few words. Remember the attack on the Pearl Harbor American Army and Naval Base in Hawaii 81 years ago on this day, December 7th, 1941, where 2,403 Americans perished and 1,178 others were wounded. I ask that we acknowledge that we owe a debt of gratitude to the members of the United States Armed Forces who died at Pearl Harbor, as well as to those who survived and fought with great honor and bravery in the Second World War while defending the people and principles of our nation. And finally, that we reflect on the courage they showed and remember their sacrifice and thank those who survived that unthinkable day. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please? So moved. Support. Any discussion, changes? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas.
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCullum.
Yes.
And Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Next item on our agenda is a resolution of distinguished public service. As many of you know, Road Commissioner Doug Fuller passed away on Saturday, November 26, 2022. Doug considered serving as a road commissioner a calling. He thought of the people here as family. It is my honor to present this resolution of distinguished public service in recognition of Doug's dedication to the work and responsibility of this organization. Whereas Douglas E. Fuller proudly served on the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners from 2009 until his death on November 26, 2022, serving as board chair from 2021 to 2020. Throughout his time on the board, Commissioner Fuller provided excellent leadership and guidance to the board and staff. Whereas Doug Fuller served as Washtenaw County Road Commissioner's representative to the Washtenaw Area Transportation Study, where he was instrumental in securing critical state and federal funds to build and maintain the county's roads and bridges. Through Watts, Commissioner Fuller also built and maintained strong working relationships with other county, township, city, and village representatives. Whereas Doug Fuller also represented the Washtenaw County Road Commission on several statewide county road organizations, including the executive board of the Michigan County Road Commission's self-insurance pool, known as MCRISIP, and the Commissioners Committee, Public Relations Committee, and Roads Plus committees of the County Road Association of Michigan, where he was awarded the 2021 County Road Association Distinguished Service Award. Whereas Commissioner Doug Fuller dedicated much of his life to serving the public. Prior to his time on the Washtenaw County Road Commission Board, he served in the U.S. Navy Seabees, building roads and airfields throughout the Pacific region during the Vietnam War. Later in life, Commissioner Doug Fuller served as a planning commissioner for Scioto Township and was a member of the Scioto Township Zoning Board of Appeals before becoming a road commissioner. Commissioner Doug Fuller was an active member of the Dexter Rotary, the Dexter Chamber of Commerce, and the Loch Alpine Sanitary Authority. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Washtenaw County Board of Road Commissioners, thank, acknowledge, and commend Commissioner Douglas E. Fuller for his tireless efforts on behalf of the Washtenaw County Road Commission, the board and staff, and for his distinguished career in serving our community. He will be greatly missed. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing for the 2023 annual budget. And I now open the public hearing for the proposed 2023 Washtenaw County Road Commission annual budget. The documents appear on pages 73 through 101 in the packet. Aaron, if you would please explain how people may be recognized to offer public comment on the 2023 proposed budget.
The public hearing on the 2023 Washtenaw County Road Commission's annual budget is now open. Please remember, public comments made at this time should only be about the budget. We will have the regular public comment period for general comments later in the agenda. If you would like to make public comment during the public hearing portion, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into this meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time, and I will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. Please share your name and address before beginning your comments. At this time, Chair Fuller, we have no one with a raised hand, virtually or in person.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Mr. Ackerman, do you have any comments you'd like to offer at this time on the proposed budget?
Dean Ackerman, Director. During the action item. Offer feedback. As far as both.
All right.
There have been no. We promise we would.
Very good. Do either of our commissioners wish to make any comments about the proposed budget at this time? All right, seeing none, I now close the public hearing for the proposed 2023 Washtenaw County Road Commission annual budget. Next item on our agenda is acceptance of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes today. May I have a motion to accept the board meeting minutes of November 15th, 2022 as presented, appearing on pages 3 through 12 of the packet?
So moved.
Support. Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Next, may I have a motion to accept the working session minutes of November 15th, 2022, appearing on pages 13 through 15 of the board packet?
So move.
Support. Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Next is public comment. This is the time set aside on the agenda to receive comments from the public. This is not intended to be a period for dialogue. Each person will be allotted 3 minutes to address the board. Aaron will now explain once again how people may be recognized to offer comments to the board on the rest of the business items or any other items they wish to describe for us. Aaron.
Since this is a hybrid meeting with both in-person and virtual attendees, we will take turns between those attending in person and virtually. For virtual attendees, we ask that you virtually raise your hand now. If you're viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click Join Audio. You can then raise your hand by clicking the Participants or Reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then the Raise Hand button. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, raise your hand by dialing *9. I will unmute virtual participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce your username or last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak, and please share your name and address before beginning your comments. At this time, we do have a virtual hand raised. And
Very good. Ms. Boyd? Does she unmute herself, Aaron, or do you do that?
Oh, I'm unmuting her right now.
All right.
Thank you. Pam
Ms.
Boyd, a SIO resident. A housekeeping comment. I'm sorry, when the person spoke at the podium, I don't think the podium speaker was turned on and we couldn't hear on Zoom. My main topic is having attended these meetings for the last year and a half. Doug Fuller is sorely going to be missed. Whenever he didn't speak often, but when he spoke, the few words that he spoke, it spoke volumes. It spoke of his depth of knowledge and his care for his craft. And he will be sorely missed. And yeah, he was just, it was, yeah, my condolences on his passing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Aaron, anyone else with a hand raised?
At this time, we have no virtual or in-person hands raised.
Thank you. We will then move on to written communications appearing on pages 16 through 23 of the packet. Commissioners, do you want to draw our attention to anything? Commissioner McCollum?
Yes, I would like to draw people's attention to page 21 to 23. The write-up about Doug Fuller, how thoughtful it was and things that I learned about him that I didn't know. So thank you for that write-up on Doug Fuller.
Thank you. I just,
You all set?
Yep.
Okay. If there are no further comments about written communication, we can move along. Are there any further comments? It would be addressing what Ms. Boyd had shared with us.
I just
Commissioner
want to
McCollum.
say thank you, Ms. Boyd, for your thoughts on Doug Fuller.
I too want to thank you and you recognizing indeed his knowledge and commitment. Thank you.
Certainly. All right. Moving right along, we'll go to new business consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, items 1 through 3, pages 24 through 26, and then background, it appears on pages 29 through 37.
So move.
Support. Any discussion? Seeing none, Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bart Fuller.
Yes. Next item, we have two action items, and may I have a motion to approve action item number 1, which is to approve the 2022 year-end budget amendments as presented. The resolution appears on page 27 of our packet with the background on pages 38 through 72. May I have a motion?
As soon as I find the page.
Okay.
Almost there. Page 20, okay,
You have it?
I do have it.
I can just hear.
Here it is.
Got
That upon the recommendation of the Director of Finance and IT and the concurrence of the Managing Director, the Board hereby approves the 2022 year-end budget amendments as presented.
Support.
Thank you. Discussion. Mr. Ackerman, did you have anything you wanted to say for the record?
First of all, my apologies to Ms. Boyd. I made sure that the green light is on, so hopefully everybody online can hear me as well. And really the comments I made during the public hearing were just the fact that it's more an opportunity for the public to voice any concerns, ask questions, and that we would talk a little more about the budget during the action items. So that was kind of the gist of what I said during the public hearing. So not a whole lot, but and I guess I did also mention our numbers have not changed since the working session. So hopefully there are no surprises with the documents that we provided to you. It does appear things are trending well. That being said, who knows what Mother Nature will do the next few weeks. Certainly we can handle, a storm or two. But short of what Mother Nature does, so far our numbers are trending well for 2022. And certainly the hope is with a conservative budget that our final numbers will come in a little bit better than what you're approving today or hopefully approving today. So that's because it's always easier to add things back in the first quarter as opposed to having to take things away.
Right.
So Aaron, could you pull up the 2022 year-end budget report?
Yep.
Okay. So the numbers haven't changed, but in response primarily to Commissioner Yamas's questions with regards to our fund balance, Emily put together this great chart for you that hopefully just has a little more information, kind of addressing some of the questions that were asked. So you can see that our proposed fund balance at the year end 2022 is a little under $15 million. And that's about 18% of expenditures, and Plant Moran suggests between 15 to 25. So we're on the low end, but we also had a big year, and it doesn't make me pause or make me concerned about where we are as of the end of 2022. Again, I just shared with you, I fully anticipate our actual numbers to come in slightly better. So one of Commissioner Yamas's questions is, what makes up that $15 million? So we have various categories. Aaron, could you scroll up just a little bit? Is that possible? Awesome. Actually, could you, a little more. I just want to get those definitions at the bottom of that page. Yeah, thanks. So there are various categories within our fund balance. The largest is the assigned categories. And through the years, we worked with the board to come up with what those assigned categories should be. There's some flexibility in there as well. But that makes up the bulk of the numbers there, which is about $12 million. And some of the larger portions of that, years ago, prior to this building being built, the board wanted an assignment of fund balance for larger projects. So not just purchase of road equipments, but say the construction of this facility or, just the larger building projects, to have something in our fund balance should we need it, or if we want to pay a portion in cash and finance the rest. So there is an assignment of that for future larger capital investments, and that's about $7.5 million of the assigned fund balance. We also have to have a coverage for our projected shortfall in 2023, which obviously we'll be talking about that next. That's about 4.2 million. So you have an assignment, right, of your fund balance because you know you're going to spend it down, or you're projecting to spend it down in the next year. So that also shows up in our fund balance. And then we have our equipment carryover, which this year, from 22 to 23, if you recall, there was about $2.3 million alone in just road equipment because of supply chain issues and so on. So that also shows up in your assignment category. So that's the largest category. Things can be changed a little bit. So there's some flexibility in case of emergencies and so on. But you want that to be one of your larger categories because it does allow for some flexibility. One of the next largest categories or assignments of fund balance it's called non-spendable. And that's primarily any assets that are tied up in inventory, salt, sand, fuel. And that is about, I'm sorry, I have to take my glasses on off. That's about a little over $2 million. And the thought process in that is, and I probably shouldn't even say this, but say the road commission didn't have money to pay their employees. It's not like we could say, here's a bunch of salt for you and the next person.
Right.
You could potentially liquidate that, but that would be a bit time consuming. So per our auditors, those are considered non-spendable, but we still want to recognize how much of our fund balance is tied up in our inventory. So that's about $2 million. The next category is for our fund balance is anything that is called committed. And so that is basically any construction projects that we have. So it's already gone to construction. So we've already started that process. It's going to carry over into the next year. And that also has to be Michigan transportation funds. So let's say if it's a federal aid project and we're getting 80% of federal dollars, we would just recognize the 20% that would be the road commission's cost. So you probably think, well, it should be a larger number, but again, our engineering department in particular is really good at getting grant funds and so on. So it's just the portion where the road commission would be using MTF dollars for, and we're estimating that's about $50,000. And then the final category is unassigned. And there's obviously even more flexibility just by the name of, or the nature of that. Currently we have 0. Again, I'm not worried about that because there's some flexibility under the assigned categories. It just so happens, with this year, we have 0 in the unassigned category. So just trying to give a little more details on our fund balance, because I know you had asked a couple of times, just what comprises that $14.7 million.
Right.
So any questions on that at all?
That's very helpful. Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Yes, just a comment.
And
I appreciate that because it creates transparency for people who don't understand numbers and may feel that we have a ton of money.
right.
And so I really appreciate the work you put into that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and certainly all the kudos goes to Emily. She said, hey, Commissioner Yamas has mentioned this a few times. We should really attempt to put something in our budget documents to further communicate that. And like you said, offer transparency, not only for the board, but for whoever is looking at our budget documents. And besides that, we kind of already covered the numbers for year end 2022. Again, hasn't changed from our working session that we went over in great detail. Are there any other questions or comments or concerns?
I do not see any. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. All right, so at this time, may I have a motion to approve action item? We just did 2022, right?
I believe you
And
have
we're
to
now
vote on it.
talking about 2023.
I'm sorry, I think you have to vote on it too.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Dan,
budget.
Dan is correct. There was a motion, but
A
I
motion
don't
to
believe you.
approve the
But we
budget,
have,
yeah.
okay, I got lost in your description.
Sorry.
Thank you, thank you. No, it's been
No.
great. So we are voting on the motion that Gloria offered and Commissioner Yamas seconded to adopt the 2022 year-end budget amendments as presented,
Thank you.
correct?
Mhm.
Thank you. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes. Now, may I have a motion to approve action item number 2, to approve the 2023 Washtenaw County Road Commission annual budget as presented. The resolution appears on page 28, and the background for this motion appears on pages 73 through 101. May I have the motion, please?
Madam Chair, that upon the recommendation of the Director of Finance and IT and the concurrence of the Managing Director, the board hereby approves the 2023 Washtenaw County Road Commission annual budget as presented. It is understood that the proposed 2023 budget supports 136 full-time equivalent positions.
Support. Thank you. Discussion on this proposed budget for next year. I don't see any. Do you have comments you'd like to offer?
No, just again, the numbers have not changed. We've got a projected fund balance of about $10 million. Would like that to be higher, of course I would, but if you recall, very ambitious year. A $70 million budget is one of the largest I've seen. And we have hopefully, Adam, right, all the road equipment coming in. And hopefully we'll have a new salt barn or shed. I think it's a shed, I don't know. Our salts housing facility.
Bigger than a shed in my world, but.
Right, yeah,
I get it.
right.
Okay.
So obviously that'll be a huge investment and much needed. And again, I feel that represents the worst case scenario. Hopefully we can come out of 22 a little bit better, and obviously we'll make changes to 2023 as they come. So, but no concerns as far as where we should be financially at the end of 2023.
Very good. I don't see any questions or remarks. Aaron, if you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Barb Fuller.
Yes.
Great,
Thank you, Dan.
Mhm.
Next item on our agenda are reports. I see that our Board of Commissioners liaison, Commissioner Caroline Sanders of District 4 is with us today. Caroline, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share with us? I don't know who unmutes you.
Yep, I'm unmuting her right now. Commissioner Sanders, you should be able to unmute yourself.
I apologize. I had a slight, quick emergency call that I had to take as you were offering me an opportunity to speak. I just wanted to give my condolences to Commissioner Fuller's family and to his fellow commissioners, as well as the staff and administration for the Road Commission. He's served us well. I am sorry that he has departed from this life, but hope that his legacy will continue to provide guidance and support for the Road Commission and anyone that is coming after him. So that's the crux of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. We'll move on to the report of the road commissioners. Gloria, would you like to start? Commissioner Yamas.
Sure. I attended the 8th annual legal issues symposium for the County Road Association on December 6th, 2022. It was very enlightening. And I'd like to say that Cheryl spoke, our administrator and our communications director, and they did an excellent job. And everyone gleaned information from that. I also attended chat with the commissioner today, December 7th, 2022, with no attendees. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McCollum.
Yes, on November 16th, I watched the video on Bemis Road and Whitaker Road roundabout. I also viewed the County Road Association video on the snowplow safety for kids. I thought that was a very good video, and I shared it on my social media. On December 6th, I attended the conference Catching Up on County Road Law. Also, we'll work for local funding. And that was a good conference. And that's my report. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. I will report that on November 16th, I was the road commissioner at the chat session, and we had one visitor. I'd like to note that due to an automatic adjustment that was written into state law as Public Act 176 of 2015, on January 1st of this coming year, 2023, Michigan's motor fuel tax, known as the gas tax, will increase by 1.4 cents per gallon, taking it to 28.6 cents per gallon. This is a per gallon tax. It is not the sales tax. The sales tax is separate from the fuel tax. It's worth noting that this is a flat tax per gallon of motor fuel purchased. We'll wait and see what the impact on the Michigan Transportation Fund allocation for us is in the months ahead. Also noteworthy is the retirement of Michigan Department of Transportation Director Paul Ajaba. Brad Weiferich, MDOT's current COO, has been named acting director. I'd like to thank the staff who decorated the trucks for the holiday parade. They were great. I've seen two, I think, posted, Chelsea and Celine, maybe. Were there others?
Yes.
Let me know. What were the others? Do you remember? Sorry, I'm going a little off script here today, Adam.
Right. That's all right. Adam Lape, Director of Operations, Celine and Mylan
Oh, and Mylan as well.
parades. And
Were
then
we in Chelsea?
Manchester.
I thought I saw
Yeah.
Chelsea.
Yes, and then Manchester. Yep, and then we'll have, oh, I'm sorry, Manchester,
Chelsea.
Celine, Mylan, Chelsea. That was last Friday and Saturday.
Correct.
And then this Saturday we'll be at Dexter. We're gonna use one of our aerial lift trucks for that parade.
Ooh.
Mother Nature's sneaking in there a little bit, so we're gonna use something that doesn't plow snow just in case.
I know.
Had to shift gears a little bit today.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. This is great fun, and I know it takes a lot of extra effort to decorate these big vehicles.
It's well worth it though. It's a lot of fun for us.
And I'm sure it's greatly appreciated. I think in Manchester, they even had a garbage truck in the parade. In Manchester, anything you can put lights on, you can run in the parade. It's true at the holidays and at the community fair parade too, in the middle of the year. So
Thank you.
thanks, Adam. Thank you. I also want to note, it was pointed out today to me by Emily, that this is a historic day in the convening of road commissions. We believe for the state of Michigan, maybe the country, maybe the universe. We have all women at the dais today, including our managing director. So this is a historic first for meetings of the Washtenaw County Road Commission and maybe others as well. So that's kind of a fun note on a day that could be very somber. So that was fun. Thanks for pointing that out. I don't have any further comments for my report. So we will move on to the managing director and her staff.
Thank you, Commissioner Fuller. Just a couple quick things on my end. First, we have been meeting with the Office of Water Resources. The county board did approve ARPA funding for a culvert program, $2 million. And so we have been working with that office in order to set up the criteria on the application process, ultimately getting to stormwater management, resiliency, those types of things, trying to accomplish with those ARPA funds. But it has been nice to sit at the table with them as they're developing that program. We believe that it hopefully will have a very positive impact on especially the local road system with our townships. So
Remind me again where the culvert is?
it's not a specific, this will be a grant type program. They're looking at the Connecting Communities program that County Parks has set up and developing something similar. So there would be an application process for townships, cities and villages. And that we're at least sitting in on how they're setting up those criteria.
And is that then under the aegis of the Water Resources Commissioner?
That is correct.
Okay, and we're just a partner in that to the side, more or less?
We are, yes, we are sort of sitting to the side and trying to understand how they'll be standing that up. But obviously we have a lot of expertise in actually doing culvert work and understanding the needs, especially of our township partners.
Okay, but it's the Water Resources Commissioners.
Ultimately, they have the decision making and they are setting up the program. That is how it was set up through the county.
Okay, good to know.
Yep, but those have been good conversations and we appreciate it.
It's been a long time, right?
Yes,
Working on that
absolutely.
for a year and a half? Yeah.
Pretty much since ARPA funds became available. That is correct.
Right.
So we appreciate at least being able to provide some input into the process. That's been nice. The other thing I just wanted to make the board aware of is that there is a project called CAVNU that is potentially an experimental or a demonstration project for connected vehicle technology. The proposed corridor is along I-94 somewhere in Wayne County to some place coming close to Ann Arbor. It's a little unclear to us. So we have a meeting with MDOT upper management next week, and then it looks like there's going to be a larger stakeholder meeting later on in the week. Frankly, until next week, we don't have a lot of detailed information to share. We're just becoming aware of this project ourselves. Ultimately, this is I-94 is a state trunk line and ultimately MDOT's facility, but as the maintaining agency on behalf of MDOT, we appreciate at least being able to hear what this project is and how that it may impact the maintenance, operation that we stand up along that facility. So if you hear anything about it, please let me know. And if we have more information, we'll be happy to share it.
What's it called again?
CAVNU is the name of the entity that is standing up the program.
Can you spell that for me, please?
I believe it's CAVNUE.
Is that an acronym? Or
I
little
can give you
nickname.
more information next week.
Got it. Okay, I'll stop.
So that's all I have unless you have questions for me.
I do not at this time.
All right, so then I'll be happy to turn it over to, let's see, first up, we have Adam Leip, our Director of Operations.
Good afternoon again, Adam Leip, Director of Operations. We discussed the holiday parade, so I won't touch on that again. Our routine maintenance continues with these favorable weather conditions, so we're actually getting to maintain the roads a lot further into the season than we thought. So we're happy about that and keep moving forward. So the operations staff also, with that seasonal limitation, we're working on project end, so finalizing projects from township. So working with finance department to get that done. So a lot of thanks to Dan and his team to help us, that they're spending quite a bit of time with us, making sure we're all doing it the right way in our new roles. So it is much appreciated. And that is my update for this afternoon.
Any questions for Adam?
All right,
Don't
thank
see
you.
any. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Next up, we have Matt McDonnell, our Director of Engineering.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Matt McDonnell, Director of Engineering. Thank you again for the approval of the budget in 2023. We've got a lot of work to do, so we weren't waiting on that. We were getting started, so we've been looking ahead to 2023 for some time and preparing for projects. We're also going to be updating our asset management plan, looking at 2-year look ahead and then looking at our unfunded project list. Just making sure that we're keeping things up to date, so that when funding is available, we can take advantage of it, like the culvert program for water resources. And just for note, just the culverts alone on primary roads, we've got over $15 million of needs. So 2 million is just a drop in the bucket when it comes to culverts. So unfortunately, we're dealing with a really big source of need. So other things I want to report, we continue to work and make progress with our contractor on the border trail on Huron River Drive. So that project is ongoing. It's one of the only one that continues with this favorable weather. They will likely continue to the end of the month and then wait and see what the forecast, what January looks like. If temperatures drop too low, typically production rates are so low that they call it quits for the year.
Yeah.
So any questions for me? Very good. Thank you.
Pat, last but not least, Dan Ackerman, our Director of IT and Finance.
Dan Ackerman, Director of Finance and IT. Hello again. Just a few things to report to you. If you want to look at page 111 on your report, give you a second. We'll talk Michigan Transportation Funds briefly.
3.
Big packet this time.
Usually the last page, that's what's goofy.
Yeah, it's a few from the last.
There it is.
Yes, okay. The October 2022 Michigan Transportation Funds were up about 8% over October of 2021. Overall, we're up about 2.5% for 10 months from last year. And again, trending well for the budget. Could we have made a change in year-end 2022 for Michigan Transportation Fund budget? Maybe, but again, want to be conservative. No idea what the next 2 months will do. But if the trend continues, hopefully they'll come in a little bit higher than we had budgeted, which would be great. So any questions on that at all?
So help me understand this. Our fiscal year starts January 1, right.
January to December 31st, right?
But the state's starts
October.
October 1st.
Right. Mhm.
So when we look at these numbers, does everything reset or we just roll along?
We just look at it on our calendar basis, so
Okay.
our fiscal basis. Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And one thing to keep in mind, it's usually about a 2-month lag between when it's collected at the pump and when we receive the funds. So Commissioner Foley, you indicated that in January, there will be a 1.4 cent increase to the motor fuel tax, which is of course much appreciated. That's actually capped out at 5% because there is a cap on that increase. It is an indexed to inflation. But there is a cap and it was capped at 5%, which actually is not keeping up with inflation and meaning our costs because we do have costs of doing business as well. But we won't see that 1.4 cent per gallon increase until probably March, Dan. Would that be about right?
Okay.
So just understand that there's that lag in timing between when it's collected and then when we actually receive those funds.
And at our working session, there was discussion about raising it. We weren't sure if they're going to raise that at all. So we said they were projecting to raise it. We have not included any of that in our 2023, again, conservatively, Michigan Transportation Fund budget. But as Cheryl mentioned with the lag, maybe by the second quarter, we'll see if it does make any significant impacts and we can adjust the budget for Michigan Transportation Funds at that time.
Okay.
So we'll wait and see on that. Other things. So busy time of the year for the finance department with the year end, sending out lots of invoices. I worked with Jamie Kraus and she handles accounts payable and receivables. And I think we put together probably about $700,000 in miscellaneous invoices that we sent out.
When did those go out, Dan?
Yeah, right. And as Adam mentioned, we're also working with the operations department to get all of our final township billings out. It's definitely important to get those out as soon as we can. So we can receive payment in a timely manner and so we can include it with our 2022 budget. I mean, a lot of those things we've already budgeted for. We just want to make sure that the checks are received in a timely manner. So it was nice to get those out the door and, we wait about 30 days and then we start inquiring, what's the status of the payment. it does get a little challenging over the holidays. Sometimes boards don't meet as frequently and so on, but, you know, we'll make sure we stay on top of it and that, we get everything that we're expecting, so.
Do those come in electronically, Dan, or are townships still writing?
The
checks?
townships, yeah, we usually get a paper check, yes.
Have they been asked about convert? I know we've been working with vendors for what, 2 years now, trying to get them to.
Right, I mean, we're paying about half our vendors electronically. It is a little more challenging if municipalities want to pay us electronically. Actually, earlier in this year, Pittsfield Township reached out and they were interested in paying us electronically, and we need to get the county treasurer's office involved as well, which is fine. And we were like, let's try this, you know. We want to make it as convenient as possible for entities to pay us, of course. But they're still paying us with a check. So, and I have not followed up with them, but they actually did reach out to us to see if they could set that up. So maybe early 2023, we'll reach out again and see what the status is of that.
So by, I think, the end of 2024, everybody should have broadband access.
Okay.
So it should make it inexcusable to not do that, as long as we're set up to accommodate those kinds of payments.
You know, unfortunately, sometimes government is a little behind the rest of the world.
No.
Is that an understatement? You know, we're one of the first road commissions to pay vendors electronically, which I'm very proud of.
Okay.
So we're kind of leading the charge on that. And like I said, we're about at 50%, which is great. Will we get to 100%? Probably not. They'll probably still needs to have some checks, you know, printed just because. But if we can even get to 80 or 90%, I think that would be amazing, because it is a more efficient and safer process to pay vendors electronically. So, but you know, just by saying that, you know, we're one of the first. I guess I would not anticipate other municipalities paying us electronically anytime soon, but we'll do all we can to work with them for sure.
But if they chose to, we're prepared to accept it electronically.
Yeah, like I
So
said,
we're not the bottleneck.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
like I said, Pittsfield Township reached out to us. And we plugged in the county treasurer's office and we were ready to make it happen. And I'm not sure what happened on their end. Like I said, I didn't follow up with them, but you know, it's not an easy process. You want to make sure that you have the proper controls in place. So I'm not sure what happened. Sometimes you could have turnover, or, you know, you have all these projects you're working on and you try and prioritize projects. I don't know, but I think I'll reach out to them probably in early 2023 and see where they're at with this. So, okay. Also, Commissioner Yamas wanted to mention that we followed up on, you had mentioned the potential for grant funding for pensions, underfunded pensions. And the last I had heard about it was in July. So just wanted to see if there's been any movement with this or anything. Obviously, we're very interested, especially we were told we might qualify for some of this. So I reached out to the Municipal Employer Retirement System, or MERS. They, you know, they have lobbyists. They are aware of what's going on in Lansing. Obviously, they run our pension program, so they're great resources. And they said that there are no updates per se, but I do have a couple of things to mention. So they said that the folks in Lansing are working on the process and details behind it, which, you know, devil's in the details, right? And they thought that hopefully will be accomplished by April of 2023. So, you know, who qualifies? How do you qualify? Where do the funds go? Because there's some, you know, there's some talk about if you qualify for the grant, would the road commission get the money directly, or would the money go right to your pension system? So things like that, they're trying to iron out some of the details. And they thought that if you did qualify, assuming all the details and processes and everything are worked out, that the grants would be distributed by the end of August of next year. So like I said, there's no update, but there is at least some timelines here, and, you know, sounds like they're still working on it. And, you know, maybe I'll give it, you know, 2-3 months and ask again, but we've we've got some great advocates that are watching this closely. Hopefully maybe MERS will be asked as far as, well, how do you think the details should work? That's always nice when your pension program is asked by the legislature. So how do you think, how should this work? What should the details be? So more to come, but I wanted to at least give you some updates. I know you've asked about it. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions on what I shared as far as that, or? Okay.
Stay on their pant leg.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. If there's something out there, we want to make sure that we're first in line and not caught by surprise, because sometimes deadlines are short, windows are short. So, we're doing all we can to stay on top of this. So.
Great. I appreciate that
Yep.
because sometimes it's first come, first serve.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yep. And then just briefly, as far as IT, I've shared at our last meeting that we had a site visit planned for the demo of room 106, which is by the permits area. The vendor didn't feel they were quite ready to demo their product yet. And so that's been delayed to January 10th, which is fine because we want to make sure when we go there, we like what we see, everything works, it's stable and so on. So that's been pushed into early 2023, but certainly I'll update you on that. And we talked at the working session about our CMAQ grants, and I mentioned Josh is working on some of the laptops we were able to purchase through the CMAQ, and he's about 33% complete with getting those set up, which is great. So, and that's my report.
Any questions for Dan?
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
That's it for staff.
That's it? Okay. All right. So at this point, I would ask everyone to note that we're back to a Tuesday meeting on December 20th. Today we shifted because there was a conference in Mount Pleasant where we had commissioners in attendance, but also staff as presenters, which is why we're meeting on Wednesday this cycle. But we're back on the usual track, December 20th, 1:00 p.m., no working session. Virtual chat sessions coming up tomorrow. I've got Commissioner Yamas's tomorrow.
But that's today. It's Wednesday.
Thank you. So good job, Gloria. I'll have to pay anyway. And then in 2023, our chat schedule will be determined after we address the actual calendar on the 20th. I would also just like to add that Commissioner Doug Fuller was very touched by the visits that he received from people here. He was not real communicative. It was mostly hand jive, but he knew people were there. He recognized voices. You could tell by the way he conducted himself. And I want you to know that he just slipped away midday on that Saturday. He was not in obvious pain. They did a pretty good job on that front, and he was not alone. So please know that he appreciated all the well wishes that came his way and the visits that were made as well. Although he was reluctant to have crowds coming to see him, he really wasn't up for that. So on that note, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. Aaron, please.
Commissioner Joanne McCollum,
Yes.
Commissioner Gloria Yamas,
Yes.
and Commissioner Brett Fuller.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. See you on Tuesday, December 20th.